With TV and radio, we used to only see particular shows that highlight particular sounds, particular artists. You see particular film series, and it's only on TV and radio, so all of us are seeing the same thing, and all of us are creating from the same inspiration. With now content creation coming up, with almost every Gen Z wanting to be a content creator, you can literally pick up your phone, create something that is yours, that is individual, that is your self-expression, put it up there, and all of us can see it. Something that could have been niche right now stops being niche, and you realize it could be a global movement, and that's because it's now visible. One day, some weird child posted a video and then found out that the world resonates. An example is Amapiano, where it's not just the sound of the music. Many music genres have made it globally. However, Amapiano has transcended that in that it's now a lifestyle for a lot of people. So how you dress, how you dance, and that is a small genre that started in a small town in South Africa. And then that's become a global movement where you now have huge artists, Ed Sharon, etc., jumping onto this genre. If you think about it, some little boy or girl who was in that town and posted that first video probably did not think we'd end up here.
For sure, I'm not making the music that is being pushed heavily on radio and TV right now. I don't fit that box of what you would consider a pop artist in Kenya. And personally, I would prefer to be called alternative because it gives me the freedom to kind of just be flexible and be myself without needing to cater to anybody's specific tastes. Yeah, I get to do me.
This is the best explanation I think I have for African Alté, is that it's us with a long cultural heritage trying to redefine ourselves as young Africans within a modern, globalized context. Because it speaks to being an individual, but you do have roots, you come from somewhere, and you come from somewhere meaningful. Hence, I think we also have so much innovation and creativity on the African continent in terms of arts and culture, because we have so much to dig from. So I think now when we start to express it in a fresh, modern way, that becomes alternative.
When I think of alternative art, I think of art that is left of center, that is authentic and not able to be put in a box. And I think that's where I lie most of the time.
I do think it's harder for women to experiment creatively because there's a certain way they want us to behave. And that's where I feel Alté comes in, non-conformity. I personally don't care about experimenting, but I know a lot of people that do. And I guess that's why I'm here.
There are options for everyone now. So regardless of what you're into, you're most likely to find it. Mainstream will always drive, say, for example, profitability and numbers because that is the majority of people. But unlike before, the other people who have a different perspective or different preference actually have choice and options.
We have seen over the years record labels dominate the music industry. But for the first time, I feel like it's a world, it's a community.
Usually people that were doing things alternative or different from the norm are usually on the outskirts of creative society or outside of mainstream culture. Over time, we saw a community start to build, like more like-minded people, more people in all those creative spaces actually coming together and working together to kind of create an ecosystem outside of mainstream society.
Part of Google's mission is to help organize the world's information. And one of the things that we've seen with the alternative movement is people seeking out information of what does it mean to be Alté, who is Alté. And YouTube has been a key driver of all sorts of emerging cultures across the continent. It's a place where you can find community, where you can discover different music, different artists, different fashion trends. And so one of the most exciting things that we're seeing is alternative creators coming and finding a space at YouTube on the platform where they can freely express themselves.
YouTube became school for me. because it helped me come up with creative ways to market my music. It helped me think outside of the box when it comes to what kind of spaces I want my music to kind of be in. By seeing other artists also just like break the mold and do themselves. Artists from different countries that I wouldn't immediately have access to, and things that I wouldn't normally see like on TV or hear on radio. So YouTube really opened my mind, even just, I don't know what kind of music I'd be making if I didn't have YouTube. Well, yeah.
It became my new channel. I could hear new sounds, but I think sometimes not enough to hear new sounds, especially when there's a language barrier. You want to see the style. You want to see the context within which these guys are making this sound in. And that gives you context for consumption as well, especially if you're from another culture or from another country. So I found that YouTube became my discovery platform, you know. If I couldn't travel, if I couldn't go somewhere, if I didn't know anyone there, a good way to sort of start first finding out what's the culture, what's the movement, you know, what's happening on the streets, is to check out what's happening in the crafts and in the art sector, and it's basically my discovery platform.
YouTube helps me just be myself. Like, it's an extension of my authenticity. Like, I want to talk and be myself, I guess.
When I was experimenting with my sound, I would post covers and I would do looping things, and my views would always kind of tell me what works best and kind of give me like positive feedback. But I think the biggest impact that YouTube has had on me is in discovering different kinds of art forms from spaces that I might not be very close to.
Some of the ways I engage with my YouTube community are asking questions on what they want to see, because that really helps me. And it's fun. I like when they help me pick what my next content should be. And also, I get a lot of like comments, like people thanking me for my stuff. So that's good engagement, I guess.
It's basically become our marketing, promotions, communication channel. If you've got like, 2 billion people on YouTube, there's no other platform I currently know where I could possibly be discovered or one of my acts be discovered by people we don't know.
YouTube has opened my eyes to like completely different sounds and different expressions, and helps us discover who's listening, who's watching, where they are. It's borderless. We don't necessarily get confined to either being in Kenya or being in South Africa or West Africa.
Let's just say like trying to get into spaces where you can actually make a difference with your craft has been kind of difficult, because for me specifically, I feel like it was more a thing of proving that your art is legitimate, proving that your art is authentic, but things are changing now.
YouTube is the home for alternative culture and alternative artists, because across any media industry, there's a lot of heavy gatekeeping, but with YouTube, because there's no barriers of entry, it's so easy for you to have your music discovered or for you to have your art discovered. So if you identify as alternative, there are no like music executives on YouTube who'll tell you, no, you can't actually upload this. It's very easy for you to find community on the platform as well. And with initiatives like, YouTube Black Voices, it's very easy to even connect on a deeper level with alternative artists from the continent.
Online spaces have helped us all also find each other as a community, and traditionally with mainstream, we were pushed into a sort of groupthink space as communities, but now we are coming up, we are rising, we are finding ourselves, we are finding ways to be ourselves freely, and has allowed us to be individual and be proudly self-expressive in that movement.
We're able to express ourselves. Expression is very important. Documentation is very important. For generations after us to be able to look back and understand how things work and how to improve on them.
During the pandemic, with the global cessation of movement, no one, couldn't congregate in big groups, live performances. Instead, you saw the idea of a live performance move to online. We started seeing features like YouTube Live come on board, where instead of me putting out the video and then people watching it at their leisure, I can book a time with everyone and we all gather online, almost like it's a live show. and you can see the show happening and you can see the comments scrolling. So it's almost like we're back outside. We saw even further innovations come up, which is now where you can pay for the show upfront, like a ticket, but log in online. Who would I be selling this to? I'd be selling it to the same audience that I've created on that YouTube platform. It also changes how we create, in the sense that before it was about who you could physically reach. Now you can reach people that you might have never physically met before, and then close that loop by now coming to perform where they are. In a way, it even takes risk out, for especially as an alternative artist who might not have big budgets. I can't risk a failed show, you know? But if I can find a way of proxying the interest, and I think the internet does a good job of that. So if I know my video is doing well in Johannesburg and I'm based in Nairobi, it looks like I've got a potential second market now to go and play in. So I think that validation, yes, it starts as a validation and affirmation at a creative level, but it soon moves into a commercial space.
With youthful exuberance, there needs to be that person who's able to understand how the corporate world moves. You know, because a lot of things are shaped by the youth. Youth culture could bring positive energy, vigor to the corporate world. A lot of banks, a lot of corporate entities like to tap into the youth to create visibility, market products.
When I was the brand ambassador for Jameson, and we saw kind of the transition of Jameson from brand with zero social capital or equity into one of the biggest brands in Nigeria. I feel like the Alté community definitely influenced that, and the more people are realizing, the more brands are coming to us and working with us, whether, it's sports brands, clothing brands, energy drinks. I think we're seeing a transition in people understanding that the conversion rate from mainstream talent to the community might not always be the same effect as more subculture niche communities who have direct impact on the people around them. Slowly, brands are starting to understand that, and I think that's really exciting, and I'm glad I could have been part of that journey as well.
To see that the youth can gather and push the collective envelope, that's mind-blowing. It's like a creative force.
I don't want to take any personal credit for what we built as a community. I'm just kind of happy that people are just making progress going forward. We did this thing, it's a beautiful thing. It's only going to continue getting bigger, and it's beyond oneself. That's how I've always taken it. That's how the people closest to me who were part of this journey have always taken it. It's not about me. So I don't care if I'm the godfather, we started it, you coined the phrase, and all that doesn't matter. It's like the effect is happening on generations beyond us.
What's happened with the alternative movement is that it will grow, simply because we are seeking more and more avenues of freedom and self-expression. And that is natural, that is very human. And the more we get to do that, the more we'll also inspire others around us who might not be at a point where they're able to freely express themselves. So it is a form of freedom that will also be tied into many parts of who we are, including political, because right now, even that space is, either or in most countries. But the more we encourage self-expression and individualism, the more we grow as a people to now appreciate those differences rather than shun each other for differences.